Have you ever wondered why the more patient you were, the worse they treated you? Why every act of understanding seemed to unlock a new level of disrespect? Because the thing they valued most about you wasn't your love. It was your tolerance. And once you see that, everything starts to make sense. You kept giving chances. They kept giving reasons not to. You kept believing that if you explained yourself better, loved harder, stayed longer, or forgave one more time, something would finally change. But it didn't. Because you weren't dealing with someone who saw your patience as love. They saw it as opportunity. That's the part nobody tells you. A narcissist isn't usually drawn to strong boundaries. They're drawn to people who will keep moving those boundaries. People who tolerate more than they should. People who doubt themselves when they should be walking away. To them, that feels safe. Not emotionally safe. Behaviorally safe. Safe to lie. Safe to disappear. Safe to cross lines. Safe to come back whenever they want. Safe to avoid consequences. And every time they pushed a little further and nothing happened, they learned something. They learned that your limits weren't really limits. Read that again. They learned that your limits weren't really limits. What looked like compassion to you looked like permission to them. Because control feels like connection to a narcissist. They don't build relationships through mutual respect. They don't feel bonded through trust. They bond through impact. Through influence. Through knowing they can affect your emotions whenever they choose. Your happiness. Your anxiety. Your confusion. Your hope. Your pain. If they can control those things, they feel connected. Not because they love you. Because they feel powerful. And that's where the trap begins. The more patient you become, the more they test you. The more understanding you become, the more they take. The more chances you give, the less reason they have to change. This is where it traps you. Because you think patience is helping the relationship. Meanwhile, your patience is becoming their permission. Every time you forgive behavior that should have consequences. Every time you explain away another lie. Every time you stay after being hurt. A message is being sent. Not the message you intended. The message they receive is simple. I can keep doing this. That's why the cycle often gets worse instead of better. Not because you failed. Because they adapted. They learned what they could get away with. And once a narcissist discovers there are no real consequences, they rarely stop on their own. There's another uncomfortable truth hidden underneath all of this. Many narcissists confuse being needed with being loved. They don't necessarily want intimacy. They want importance. There's a difference. If you're constantly chasing them, trying to understand them, fixing their problems, managing their emotions, saving the relationship, they feel significant. They feel central. They feel powerful. But that feeling isn't love. It's dependency. As long as you're fighting to keep them, they feel valuable. As long as you're trying to prove your worth, they never have to prove theirs. Think about that. They don't feel secure because they love you. They feel secure because you're still trying. And because real love requires something they often avoid. Accountability. Growth. Empathy. Responsibility. The willingness to look in the mirror and admit when they're wrong. Tolerance allows them to bypass all of that. If someone keeps accepting behavior without consequences, why would they change? Why would they examine themselves? Why would they grow? They don't have to. That's why the pattern repeats. And if you've watched them move on to someone else, you may have wondered, what do they have that I didn't? The answer is usually nothing. Because this was never about you. They didn't suddenly become healthier. They didn't magically learn empathy. They didn't wake up transformed. They're repeating the same cycle. Different person. Same script. Different face. Same pattern. At first, every new relationship looks different. But underneath, the mechanics remain exactly the same. Charm. Attachment. Control. Devaluation. Repeat. The names change. The cycle doesn't. And now we arrive at the painful truth. The truth many survivors spend years trying to avoid. They didn't love you for who you are. They valued how much you were willing to endure. How much pain you could absorb. How many excuses you would make. How many boundaries you would abandon. How long you would stay. That's what they protected. Not you. Your tolerance. But there's another truth. A more powerful one. The moment you stop tolerating what hurts you. The moment you stop negotiating with disrespect. The moment you stop explaining boundaries that should be obvious. Something changes. Suddenly you're too sensitive. Too difficult. Too demanding. Too much. And that's exactly when your freedom begins. Because the version of you that no longer tolerates abuse is the version they can no longer control. The day you become too much for them is often the day you finally become enough for yourself.